Do this every single day to practice consistency, to build a little bit of community, to make the stretching we're about to do, the suffering we're about to do, a little bit more fun, a little bit more entertaining, a little easier to stay consistent with. All right, I'm gonna grab the stool and we're gonna get ready to begin. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. It's time to warm up. We're gonna take it nice and slow. Oh, and we're gonna work on some hip cars, all right? They look a little bit like this if you've never been here before. We're gonna stand on one leg. We're gonna lift the other knee up as high as we can. Lift, 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 lift. Then we're gonna point that knee out that way. Boom. Try to open up that leg so it's going out. We don't want the whole body to rotate, all right? When you do this, we want just that leg going out that way. If you can, try to lift that knee up a little higher, 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 until you can't go any further, all right? It doesn't have to be crazy. Just try your best. Cool? From here, we're rotating the leg. We're bringing the ankle up so it's hidden behind the knee, all right? From the side, it's going to look a little bit like this. And then we're going to keep going. We're going to bring the ankle up some more. We're going to bring the knee down and ankle up and knee down and ankle up and knee down and ankle up and knee down. Ooh, until your hamstrings are about to cramp. Then from here, we're going to bring the leg down and back. And ta-da, that is our whole movement. We're flexing the hamstrings. We're flexing the glutes. We're feeling the stretch right here in the hip flexor. That is one rep. We're doing 10 of these on the left side, 10 on the right side. And it's time to crush them. Let's go, high knee. Open. Ankle up some more. Down and back. That's one high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's two high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's three high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's four high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's five high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's six high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's seven high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's eight. Two more high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's nine. Last one high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's 10. Whew, that is a whole bunch of hip cars. Shake out that leg. Shake out your hips. Do a little dance. And let's get ready to wrap up on the other side. All right. Let's go high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's one high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's two high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's three high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's four high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's five high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's six high knee. Whew. Open. I'm off balance. Hold on. There we go. Boom. Ankle up. Down and back. That's seven high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's eight high knee. Open. Ankle up. Down and back. That's nine. Last one high knee. Lift a little higher. Open a little wider. Rotate. Bring it down and back. Ooh, that's 10. That is 10 hip curls going forward. All right. Remember, the goal is to get your legs using your own muscles in your hips, in your glutes, in your thighs to move your leg into a crazier position. All right. Whether that's high knee, whether that's opening it up wider, whether that's rotating as much as you can, or just sticking the leg back behind you and trying to lift it up. All right. Wherever the situation, we just want you to try to use your own muscles, control your ability to get into a slightly deeper version of that movement. And hopefully you'll make a little bit of progress slowly over time. All right. This show is all about consistency. We do this every day. And now that you know that, we're going to get back into some more consistency. Bring the leg down and back. All right, we're going to go in reverse for reverse hip cars. And they look a little like this. We're going to start by bringing the leg down and back. Flex the hamstrings, flex the glutes. Feel the stretch right here in the front. We're going to lift that leg up to the side. We're going to rotate the knee down, ankle up, ankle down, knee up. Bring the leg forward. That's one rep. We're going to do 10 of these on the left, 10 of these on the right. Let's go. Back, side. Feel the contraction right here. Rotate the knee down, ankle up. Rotate the ankle down, knee up. Bring that knee forward. That's one. Back, side, ankle, ankle, knee. That's two. Back, side, ankle, ankle, knee. That's three. Back, side, ankle, ankle, knee. That's four. Back, side, ankle, ankle, knee. Did I say five already? I'm gonna pretend that was five. Back, side, ankle, ankle, knee. That's six. Back, side, ankle, ankle, knee. That's seven. Back, Side, ankle, ankle, knee, that's 8, 2 more back. Side, ankle, ankle, knee, that's 9. Take a break. Get ready to do the last one. Really contract those muscles. Let's do it. Bring that leg down and back. Whew. Raise that leg up to the side. Feel the contraction right here. Rotate the knee down. Rotate the knee up. Bring it forward and around. Oh, it's 10 reps on the left hip. We got one last leg to do. Take a quick breath. Relax. Inhale. Exhale. Let's wrap things up. Stand up nice and straight and tall. Contract that core. Spread those toes. Stamp down into the ground for balance. And let's begin. Back. Side. Ankle. Ankle. Knee. That's 1. Back. Side. Ankle. Ankle. Knee. That's 2. Back. Side. Ankle. Ankle. Knee. That's 3. Keep going. Back. Side. Ankle. Ankle. Knee. That's 4. Back. Side. Ankle. Ankle. Knee. That's 6. Back. Side. Ankle. Ankle. Knee. That's 7. 3 more. Back. Side. Ankle. Ankle. Knee. That's 8. If you are at home, if you're joining in for the first time, feel free to use some hand support, help you with your balance. You do not have to stand on one leg the whole entire time because that's a little crazy. Oh, man. That was 10 hip curls going forward, going back on each leg. That was the first warm-up exercise. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're just catching up, don't worry about it. Do what you can. We usually do this for a lot longer than we actually need it so that people have a little bit of wiggle room to come in when they come in, all right? We're going to move on into the second warm-up exercise. It is called the elephant walk, and I'm super out of breath today. I think I contracted a little too hard, trying to fold too deep. All right, we're going to bring our belly buttons down to the ground. Fold, 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 fold. All right. If you're a little less flexible and you're a little bit higher up like this, that's perfectly fine. Just try your best to bring your belly button down towards the ground. All right. From here, we're going to do a little wiggle with the butt. We're going to bend one knee. We're going to straighten out the other leg. All right. From here, I want you to fold that belly button down a little bit more. Fold a bit more. Fold a bit more. Feel that stretch in your hamstrings. And I want you to switch the leg that's bent. All right. So right now my left leg is bent. I'm going to switch. Boom. Now my right leg is bent. And I want you to keep on trying to bring your belly button down towards the ground. And I want you to keep switching from side to side. Experiment with how wide your legs are. You can try a little wider if you want. You can try a little narrower if you want. Just figure out what works for you and roll with it. We don't have an exact number that we got to do, and that's because I'm going to tell you about the rest of the show first. We're doing 45 to 60 minutes of live side split stretching and hip mobility work. We do this every single day to practice consistency, to build a little bit of community, to make the suffering that we're currently doing a little bit more fun, a little bit more entertaining, a little easier to stay consistent with. So, if you like the idea of working on your hip mobility, loosening your hamstrings perhaps, working on some side splits, which is just extreme hip mobility, and you need a little bit of help practicing consistency, then make sure to hit follow and hit subscribe and keep coming back because we do this live every single day at 9 p.m. Eastern, which means we started like 10 minutes ago. All right. Whatever time that is for you, 10 minutes ago, that is the time we start every single day. And now that you know all that about the show, I hope you hit follow, you hit subscribe, and are ready to move on into some deeper elephant walks. All right. We're going to bring the belly button down a little deeper. A little deeper, a little deeper. Fold a little bit more. Hopefully your hamstrings are a little bit more loose after all those reps. I want you to really fold, really fold down. 5, 4. Take your time. Really focus on the hamstring stretch. 2, 1, 0. That is it. Pop into a squat. Come on back into standing. That is our second warm-up exercise. We're going to move on into our third warm-up exercise. It is called thoracic rotation. All right. What I want you to do is basically get back into the position that you were just in. One leg is bent, one leg is straight. We're folding our belly buttons down towards the ground. From here, I want you to take the arm on the bent leg side. I'm going to ask you to reach across to the straight leg. We're going to push off that straight leg. We're going to push and open our chest, rotate that spine, get that rotation. I want you to stick your other arm into the air as high as you can. Rotate your neck to look at the hand and inhale. Exhale, reach. That is half a rep. We gotta do the other side to make it 1. This leg is bent, this leg is straight. Reach across, push off that leg, open it up, inhale. Exhale, reach. That is now 1 rep. Whew. Take your time. When you start reaching over, make sure you're exhaling. Let the tension out of your chest so you can get a little bit more range of motion. We're doing 5 of these in total. We've done 1, so we got 4 left. Let's go. Bent leg, straight leg. Bent arm, straight leg. Open it up. Look at the hand. Inhale. Exhale, reach. That's 2. Other side. Inhale. Exhale, reach. That's 2 again. Keep going. Inhale. Exhale, reach. That's 3. Other side. Inhale. Exhale, reach. That's 3. We got 4 and 5. We got 2 more. Let's do this. Bent leg, straight leg. Bent arm, straight leg. Push on up, open it up. Look at the hand. Inhale. Exhale, reach. That's 4. Other side. Look at the hand. Inhale. Exhale, reach. That's 4 again. 5th and final one. Let's do it. Bent leg, straight leg. Bent arm, straight leg. Open it up. Look at the hand. Inhale. Exhale, reach. And that is 5. Let's do it again on the other side. Inhale. Exhale, reach. Woo. That is some thoracic rotation. If you're feeling it in your delts, in the sides of your shoulders over here, that is completely normal. You're trying real hard to send your arm flying out that way. And most of us, realistically, don't use those muscles. We don't lift anything up that high ever. So if your arms are tired, that's normal. Don't worry about it. They'll recover soon enough. We're going to move on into our 4th and final warm-up exercise. These are called Cossack switches. All right. They look a little bit like this. Ignore the fact that my foam flooring ends right here. Just don't think about it too much, especially now that I've pointed it out to you. All right. We're going to sink down and sit deep into a squat on one leg. And we're going to have the other leg out over here, sort of in a side split. All right? And the goal is to get as low as possible so that you get a nice deep stretch at this bottom position. But if you're new to the show, you might only be able to get to here. And if yours looks like this, that's totally okay. It's part of the process. All right? So wherever you are, whether it's here or down here, our next step is to move our butts all the way across. Take a second and see if you can come across. All right. If you can't make it, you're like, whoa, that's too hard. Here are a couple of options. 1, you can come up a little bit. You can maybe make it a little bit easier on yourself to go from side to side. 2, you might want to fold forward, put your hands down on the ground, give yourself a little support, and then walk your hands and your butt over to the other side. All right. You might be somewhere in between where you need a little bit of extra height because you can't fold that far forward yet. Feel free to grab an ottoman, a chair, a stool, something to give your hands a little bit of extra support to help get across. All right, that should be enough to get us started. Once you have come across and you've come on back, that is 1 rep. We're doing 10 of these in total. We're going to do 9 more. I'm going to send you, via video, more variations that will make things a little bit harder, maybe a little easier, and you can experiment with them, right? You don't have to do them. You can stick with the basics the whole time. Come on across, sink into that stretch on the other side, and then come on back. That's 2. Keep going. Use those hands, walk yourself over, and breathe. Exhale. See if you can sink and shrink and deflate into a little bit more of a stretch at the bottom here. All right. Come on back across. That should be, is that 3? Are we at 3? Maybe we're at 4. We'll pretend we're at 4. All right. If you want to make things a little bit more difficult, this is the time. We're going to stop using our hands. All right. Experiment with coming across. See if you got the balance, you got the control, the strength to manage it. That's 5. Let's keep going. Without the hands, across and back. That's 6. If you want to make this a little bit more difficult, sit up a little straighter. All right, get tall. Stick your head straight up into the ceiling. Lift your chest up. Stick your arms out in front of you to help counterbalance. And come on across. That's 7 and 7. Keep on going. 8 and 8. For our last 2 reps, you got even more options. If your knees are getting a little achy, you can come up a little bit higher first. And then you can go slide on over and then sink down. All right. Up, across, and down. These should be a little bit easier than what you were doing. Up, across, and down. I'm a miming, all right? You don't actually have to throw your arms across. I just think it visually looks way more fun. Come on down. That, I think, is 9. Maybe we've done 10. I can't remember how many of these we've done, but we're going to finish this up with one last squat, all right? I think that will either be 10 or 12 or 11, one of those two numbers. What we're going to do is we're going to power through this squatting leg and go, ah! We're going to come back into a standing looking position, and then we're going to come on down on the other side. Come on down. Take your time. Do it with control. And we're going to power through and come up. Ready? Let's go. Boom. That is our 10 Cossack switches, Cossack sliding things, and a Cossack squat to wrap things up. All right? That is our 4 warm-up exercises. We are done with the warm-up. If that sentence scares you, don't be afraid. This is a 45 to 60-minute side splits and hip mobility show. We do this every single day to practice consistency, to build a little bit of community, to make the suffering that we just put ourselves through and the more suffering we're about to continue to put ourselves through a little bit more fun, a little easier to stay consistent with, and hopefully help us make a whole bunch of progress together. All right? If you like side splits, hip mobility, consistency, make sure to hit follow, hit subscribe, keep coming back. We are live every single day at 9 p.m. Eastern, which means we started, I think, like 18 minutes ago. Cool? Every day, Monday through Sunday. We did through July 4th and everything. All right? Let's get into our first stretch. The first stretch is a hamstring stretch. What I want you to do is grab a little bit of cushioning, a little bit of padding. All right? I have some gym flooring that I've also had for like 10 years at this point, and it will work. If you have a pet who likes to rip toys apart, they're stuffing all over the floor, going crazy all over the place. You can take some of that stuffing, you can stick it back into that toy for the 10,000th time, and then you can stick it under your knee, and that will work. If you have some dirty laundry, some dirty towels that you should have washed last week but you forgot, roll it up, stick it under your knee. It's got one more job today. All right? Padding for your knee. If you got a couch cushion, a decorative pillow, those will all work. You just need a little bit of cushion. Flip flops, sneakers, stick it under your feet or stick it under your knee, and you're ready to go. All right? Our next step is to get kneeling. I want you to flex your glutes so that your hips are right above your knees, your shoulders are right above your hips, and your head is right above your shoulders. Nice and straight. All right? Next, we're going to extend one leg out in front of us while maintaining that nice straight line. From here, we're going to fold our belly buttons down to our thighs. All right, you ready for this? Let's go. Inhale. Exhale and fold. As soon as you get stuck, you're like, nope, can't go any further. Feel free to chill. Feel free to relax. All right, I want you to take a big breath in. Inhale. Exhale, relax. Let your body flop over that leg. And let's do it again. Inhale. Relax. Sink a little deeper into your stretch if you can. Otherwise, just focus on exhaling and chilling. Third time, inhale. Relax. Now that we've done that 3 times, we're going to add a little bit of movement. All right? I want you to bring your knee up like that. And then I want you to fold your upper body down so that your torso is touching that thigh, if you can. If you are not quite flexible enough to bring your knee up real high and then try and touch your chest down to that leg, don't worry about it. Just try your best. All right? From here, once you brought your chest down, we're going to straighten out the leg. We're going to straighten, 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 straighten. Feel that stretch in the hamstrings, and we're going to be like, ooh, that is 1 rep. We're going to do 5 of these. So knee up, chest down, straighten it out. Try to keep your chest low when you straighten it out. All right? That's 2. Let's do it again. Knee up, chest down, straighten it out. That's 3. Knee up, chest down, straighten it out. That's 4. Knee up, chest down, straighten it out. That's 5. What we just did was practice the skill of folding forward, which is what we need when we want to work on our hamstring stretch. Cool? All right. Once you've done those about 5 times, we're going to go and get a little deeper. We're going to take a big breath in, inhale. Then we're going to slowly exhale. And while we exhale a whole bunch of air out of our lungs, we're going to fold our belly buttons down towards the ground, down towards our thighs. All right? So again, it's inhale, exhale, fold. You ready? Let's go. Big breath in, inhale. Slowly exhale and fold, 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 fold. Inhale, relax. Let your body flop over that leg again. Inhale, relax.
Let your body flop over that leg. Third time's a charm. Inhale, relax. And knee up, chest down, straighten it out. Ready? Let's go. Knee up, chest down, straighten it out. That's one. Knee, chest, straighten. You might notice that you don't have to bend the knee as much. You can get your chest to touch a little deeper into that stretch now. Great. Keep that up. Keep folding a little bit deeper. And once you're done, about 5, we're going to get even deeper. Inhale, exhale, fold. You all ready? Let's do this. Big breath in. Inhale. Slowly exhale and fold, 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 fold. Belly button down. Fold, fold. Woo! That is our last time that we're going to do that on this leg, all right? Inhale, relax. Let your body drop deeper into that stretch just a little bit. Inhale, relax. Chill, flop. Inhale, relax. That is 3 times. Knee up, chest down, straighten it out. Knee up, chest down, straighten it out. That's 1. Take it nice and slow. This is not explosive. This does not need to be fast. Focus on the stretch in your hamstrings. Focus on folding forward and practicing. Bring your whole entire upper body down to your thigh. Once you're done 5, we're going to hang out here for 30 seconds. All right? No more folding, I promise. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. That is our hamstring stretch. All right. Bring the knee up, rest on it, chill, catch your breath. Grunt, groan, make as many sound effects as you need to. And slowly bring that leg in underneath you. We're back into this kneeling position. All right. From here, I want you to flex your glutes like somebody's about to spank you. Go, ugh, protect your butt. And then I want you to clench your abs like somebody's about to punch you in the stomach. Boom, boom. And you go, ugh. Wake up those muscles. Get them clenching nice and hard. And we're going to be ready to fold forward again. All right. Other leg. Bring it out in front. Maintain that nice straight line with the rest of your body. And let's fold. Bring that belly button down to the side. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Whee! Ugh. As soon as you get stuck. Inhale, relax, breathe, chill. Inhale. Relax. Woo. Man, let's do that again. Inhale. Relax. Sink a little deeper into your stretch. 3rd time's the charm. Let's do it. Inhale. Relax. Sink a little bit deeper into that stretch. And let's knee up, chest down, straighten it out. Let's do it. Knee up, chest down. Ugh. Straighten it out. That's 1. Knee, chest, straighten. Remember how cool it felt doing the last round of those on the other leg and how deep you were able to get on that leg? You probably don't feel nearly as cool doing it on this leg because it is not nearly as warmed up. If you're feeling real stiff, real unhappy with your hamstrings at the moment, that's normal. All right, give it some time. We'll even it out just like the other one. Let's go. It's time to inhale, exhale, fold. You ready? Big breath in. Inhale. Exhale and fold. Fold, 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 fold. Woo, that is enough. Inhale, relax. Let your body flop into that leg again. Inhale, relax. Let your body flop into that leg. 3rd time's a charm. Inhale, relax. Sink a little bit deeper. Knee up, chest down. Straighten it out. Knee up, chest down. Straighten it out. That's 1. Knee, chest, straighten. That's 2. Knee, chest, straighten. That's 3. Knee, chest, straighten. That's 4. Knee, chest, straighten. That's 5. It's time for us to go a little bit deeper. Y'all ready? This is the last time, I promise. Inhale, exhale, fold. Big breath in. Slowly exhale and fold, 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 fold. That is us getting a lot deeper into our stretch. Inhale, relax. Let your body flop into that stretch. Inhale, relax again. Sink a little deeper if you can. 3rd time's a charm. Inhale. Relax. Fold a little deeper. Knee up, chest down, straighten it out. Last round. Knee up, chest down, straighten it out, knee up, chest down, straighten it out, knee up, chest down, straighten it out, knee up, chest down, straighten it out. That's 3, I think, maybe, possibly 4. And finally, last one, 5. We're hanging out for 30 seconds. Let's go. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26. If you're feeling a whole bunch of pressure in your knee, you can give yourself a slight bend in that knee. That's okay. I think the dog is super excited to leave, so I'm gonna let him out. And let's keep going. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. That is our stretch. Ooh, that is our hamstring stretch. We're done. Cool? All right. If you're ready to move on, come back into that kneeling position. Stand up straight, flex the glutes, flex the abs, straighten out, and oh man, that is stretch number 1. Get rid of your cushion. We're gonna move on into stretch number 2. It is called the butterfly stretch. What I want you to do is scoot your butt all the way up into a wall. Let your low back, your shoulders, your head relax against that wall. Bring your feet together, pull your feet in, and we're ready to begin. All right? This is our starting position. The goal of this stretch is to feel it in your groin muscles. That's basically your inner thigh muscles. All right? The way we do that is by forcing your knees to go down into the ground. It's going to stretch out the inner thigh muscles. All right? I want you to use your own muscles so that you get stronger while doing this. So I want you to flex your glutes. I want you to flex your outer thighs. I want you to pull your legs into the ground and try your best. All right? It doesn't have to be perfect. As long as your knees are going down a little bit, you're feeling more of a stretch in your inner thighs, you're doing fine. Next, we're taking our hands. We're going to apply a little bit of pressure on the inside of the knees. All right, we're going to push straight down, straight down. We're going to hold for 30 seconds, and I want you to breathe. All right, every time you exhale, nice and slow, I want you to see if you can push your hands down a little bit deeper. And if you want, flex your glutes, pull your legs down using your own muscle power. All right, let's go. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, keep pushing, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, keep pushing, 13, 12. If it's not an intense, sharp, crazy pain and it's just regular old discomfort, that's probably fine. Keep going, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. That's it. All right, let your wrists go. If you were pushing down on your legs that whole time, your wrists might be a little bit tired, a little bit stretched out. Give them a little shake, give a little wobble, floppa, 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 floppa a little bit. And we're ready to start shaking out the legs too. All right? Same thing. I want you to flap the wings of your butterfly. The more vigorously you can flap, the more likely you're going to be ready to move on into our third stretch, the standing pancake. All right? Take a second. Keep going. And I think we're ready. Let's do this. Third stretch, standing pancake. If you're a regular, feel free to do a seated pancake or any variation we've discussed in the past. If you have not so great balance and you need extra support, you might want to grab a chair, grab a stool, sit on it, open your legs, and then fold forward like this so that you can always put your hands down to protect you. All right? What we're going to do is a standing pancake. For most people, it's going to look very similar to a seated pancake on a really high seat. All right. And I know the intro is kind of confusing, but I just want to make sure our less balanced people have an option because this is a challenging move. All right. From here, we're going to, in our standing pancake, open up our legs decently wide. Doesn't have to be crazy. 40 degrees, 35 degrees, fine. From here, we're going to fold. We're going to bring our belly buttons down towards the ground. Whee! Ugh. As soon as you get stuck, that is our starting position. All right. From the side, it's going to look probably a little bit like this. The goal of this stretch is to bring your upper body in between your legs, something similar to this. Folding forward, folding, folding, folding. That's the goal of the pancake. For most of us, it's going to be really hard, and that is why we're doing the standing pancake, because gravity is pulling our whole entire upper body down into the ground. And to get a little bit more intensity from that. You can stick your arms up in front of you, and gravity will suddenly feel so much more intense. All right? We got some options to make this a little bit harder. You're perfectly fine just going like this, hanging out, trying to keep a straight back, letting yourself fold forward with the power of gravity. But if you want to try to take it to the next level, you can open up your legs a little wider. You can scoot your butt back a little bit, and that will make everything just a little bit harder. All right? Get into a position that you're feeling comfortable with. You can always undo it. You can always bring your legs back in a little bit. You can always put your hands down, no worries. But if you're ready, it's time. We're doing a 30-second hold. Widen those legs, scoot the butt back, extend the arms in front. 30 seconds. Let's go. 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Put your hands down. Bring your legs in. If you're struggling, try to wiggle your heels in, wiggle your toes in, wiggle your heels in, wiggle your toes in, wiggle your heels and toes and heels and toes and heels and toes in so that they're underneath your body. Push off your legs. Come back into standing. That is our standing pancake. All right? That's a really hard stretch because it combines two really tough muscle groups into one super stretch. The first one is the one we've been preparing for, the hamstring stretch, right? Basically, that doesn't matter if you're trying to touch your toes, your feet together, or if your legs are wide. Whenever you fold forward, your hamstrings are going to remind you that they exist, and they don't like that. Next, when you open up your legs a little wider, a little wider, a little wider, your inner thighs, the adductors, are going to let you know that they're working really hard. That is probably some of the struggle that you're feeling right now in your inner thighs. Because we combine both those things, the pancake is really painful. And that's why I'm talking so long, so that you have a little bit of time to recover before we move into our fourth stretch. We got the option between the pigeon or the figure four stretch. I am pretty certain we did the figure four last night, so it's time for us to do some pigeon. If you're a regular, feel free to jump right into whatever one you prefer, because you know exactly what we're doing. But if you are new to the show, let's talk about the pigeon. Both stretches have the same fundamentals. We're taking one leg, we're crossing it over to the other side, just above the knee. We're going to grab that leg, we're going to bring it up to our belly button, we're going to bring the belly button down to the leg, and we're going to get into a stretch like so. You should feel a stretch out here in your hips. That is a glute muscle. You should also feel a little bit of a stretch here in your hamstrings. Your hamstrings are the backside of your leg, but when you have it rotate like this, it's going to be sort of, the inside, right? You might also feel a little bit of pressure here when you're actually doing the folding. That is pretty normal. So when you're ready, let's get to the floor and get into that leg position where it looks like this. If you don't want to, you don't have to squat down onto the floor the way I did. I just like to show off. From here, we have this leg coming across our body, right? We're going to find this imaginary line between our eyes down to our belly button, right? This imaginary line right here. We're going to try and line it up with a midpoint between your knee and your ankle, somewhere like right here. Now I want you to just smash that middle line down to that midpoint and fold. Fold, 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 fold some more, keep folding. That's the pigeon. All right. We have some options to make it a little bit more difficult, make it a little bit more interesting if you want, no pressure. I got my leg just off to the sides in this variation. If you find that's most comfortable for you, feel free to do that. You can also do this, put your leg kind of just off to the sides. If you like that one, go for it. There is another version of this pigeon, which is probably more commonly seen when you go to a yoga class. It's going to look a little like this. We're going to stick the leg behind us instead of off to the sides. All right. When you do this, you're going to feel a big stretch here in the front of the hip. You might feel a bunch of pressure in the knee, and it might just not be very comfortable, which is completely normal. Here are a couple of quick tips to make it a little bit more comfortable. The first one is stop standing up so straight. Just lean forward. When you lean forward, there'll be less of a stretch here. If there's less of a stretch here, there'll be less pressure on the knee. It'll make things a little easier. All right. The second tip is to elevate your front leg. If you are not insanely flexible, when you elevate your front leg, your hips will also come up automatically. When your hips come up up automatically, you got way more room underneath you for this leg to go back and behind, and you'll be able to hang out in this position a little bit more easily because you're just higher off the ground. Your knee won't smash. Cool? All right, so You don't need a stool. If you have a coffee table, you got an ottoman, you got a couch, you got a TV stand, something that's relatively stable that you can put your weight into, that will be enough for you to elevate to your leg and get your pigeon stretch. All right? That's it. That's everything you need to know. Let's get into it. This leg is coming across. This leg is off to the sides, bent, or directly behind us. Your choice. And we're going to find that middle line between our eyes down to our belly button. We're going to fold it forward to that midpoint between the knee and the ankle. Cool? Get your hips low. Drop them as low to the ground as you can. And fold forward. Bring the belly button down. Bring the chest down. Bring the head down. Inhale. Exhale, relax. Sink into the floor. Inhale. Exhale, relax. Sink into the floor. Turn into jello. And 30 seconds. Let's go. 29, 28, 27. Keep breathing. 26. Don't hold your breath. 25, 24. Every time you exhale, see if you can sink a little bit deeper into your stretch. 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. That is our pigeon stretch. We're going to swing on over, switch to the other side, and do the same thing. All right? Sit in that position. So this leg is coming across your body. Get your other leg wherever you find it makes sense. For some of you, you might find that your hip mobility is not so even. Maybe on one side you can't stick the leg back, but on one side you can. If that's the case, maybe you keep it bent for now. All right? Next, keep your hips low, low to the ground, as low as you can. Then fold forward. Bring the belly button down. Find that middle line, midpoint. Try to line them up, match them up. Fold, 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 fold. Inhale. Exhale, relax. Sink a little deeper into your stretch. Let's do it again. Inhale. Exhale, relax. Sink a little deeper into your stretch. 30 seconds. Let's do it. 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23. Keep breathing. Don't hold your breath. 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. That is our pigeon stretch. That is 4 of our 5 stretches. Come on out of it. Let your hips relax a little bit. Stand, shake, wiggle, flop, do whatever you gotta do. If you've made it this far, you might already know this, but in case you just joined in, we're doing 45 to 60 minutes of live side split stretching and hip mobility work. All right. We do this every single day to practice consistency, to build a little bit of community, to make the suffering that we put ourselves through, and we'll continue to put ourselves through every single day, a little bit more fun, a little bit more entertaining, a little easier to stay consistent with. So if you like working on hip mobility, working on those pigeon stretches we just came out of, you want to work towards some deeper hip mobility, you want to work towards some side split look at things, make sure to hit follow, hit subscribe. And if you need a little bit of help practicing consistency, because that's really the hardest part, coming back, putting the effort in day after day after day, then make sure to hit follow, hit subscribe, and keep coming back, because we do this live every single day to support you and me, because I'm still working on my side splits. All right. All right. That's the spiel. Hopefully you've hit the right buttons. And let's move into our side splits. All right. Let's get ready to wrap up this show. Before we get into the actual side splits, I want you to grab something that looks like a stool. All right. Doesn't have to be a stool. It could be a yoga block. It could be a stool and a yoga block. It could be a big stool. It could be any number of things, as long as you can put your weight into it and it can support you. All right. I want this thing, whatever it is that you decide to use, to be light enough that you can kind of move it around, you can adjust. Because we're going to get into a position that looks like this. We're going to have our butt rest against the wall. We're going to have our legs go wide. We're going to put our hands on our hand support. And we're going to try and find a comfortable position where there's some pressure in the legs, but we're carrying a lot of it in our arms. All right? So that we can help them out. When you have something that works, just want you to do a quick test. All right, make sure it's lightweight enough that you can move it out of the way if you need to. Make sure it's sturdy enough that you can hold up all of your body weight if you need to, and we're ready to begin. If you're using a chair at home and you're like, whoa, this chair is like really high off the ground, is this gonna work? Does this stack? Oh, it kind of stacks. If your hands are like this, you can always just drop down to your elbows. Don't stack chairs, all right? Don't do what I just did. I was just trying to demonstrate that this is really tall. All right. Once you've got your hand support, we're ready to move on. It's time to do some side splits. First thing I want you to do is move to a wall with your hand support so that your butt is resting against the wall. The wall is going to be your best friend. It's going to keep you from falling backwards. It's going to help you not lose balance. It's going to just be there to make you feel emotionally safer. All right? And that emotional safety is really important. Next, we're going to open up our legs just a little bit. Doesn't have to be crazy. All right? We're going to fold forward. We're going to put our hands down on our hand support like so. Whee! Once you are down, I want you to slowly pull your hand support in towards your groin. I want you to slowly let your legs go out a little bit wider. Yours does not have to look like mine. All right, depending on your flexibility, it might just have to be a little bit different, and that's okay. The only thing I want you to focus on is your legs are wide, your hands on your hand support, and your butt is resting against the wall. All three of those pieces are there to help you stay stable, to help you find a comfortable spot where you don't feel like you're about to lose balance, you don't feel like you're about to tip over, so that you can hopefully relax a little. All right. If you feel like you're gonna tip, if you feel like you're gonna fall, your muscles are gonna tighten up and be like, "No, I will not let you fall," and it'll be much harder to get into your side splits if you can't relax. All right, so wiggle your butt around, wiggle your legs around, wiggle your hands around, adjust your hand support to somewhere until you feel like I can hang out here for a little bit. All right, once you got that feeling, we're ready to chill. We're gonna try and relax. We're gonna try and breathe. Inhale, hold, exhale, relax. See if you can sink a little deeper into your stretch. Let's do it again. Inhale, exhale, relax. Whew. I forgot a critical part that I'm doing automatically, and I forgot to tell you about. If you need to, if your hips are hurting, bring your legs back in for a second. We gotta rotate our legs. All right. I just jumped right into it. I forgot to explain it. We're gonna do a position with our legs that looks like this. We're making it so that our heels are down, our toes are up, and our knees are pointing up. All right. The reason why we do this is because you got this lumpy part that sticks out of your thigh bone. And if you try to lift it up like this, with your knees kind of pointing forward, that lumpy part will smash into your hip like this. It'll go boom right here. And it'll hurt right here. If you rotate the leg back, boom, that lumpy part also goes back, and then it doesn't smash into this bone. It just kind of gets tucked behind your butt cheek, right? Or I guess inside your butt cheek. That sounds weird. Anyways, rotate your leg. Rotate both legs. Put your hands on your hand support. Rest your butt against the wall. Find a comfortable position that's a little bit more stable, something you can chill in. And now we're going to breathe again. All right, inhale. Exhale, relax. Sink a little deeper into your stretch. Let's do it again. Inhale. Exhale, relax. Sink a little deeper into your stretch if you can. Inhale, relax. Let's do it again. Inhale. Hold. Relax. See if you can sink a little bit deeper into your stretch. All right. Next, everything's optional. Do it if you want to. If you feel like you can get a little bit more out of your stretch, I want you to try and do a little wiggle to the right, a little wiggle to the left, a little wiggle to the right, a little wiggle to the left. See if you can just push your heels out a little bit further. When you've moved, when you've shifted, you might be off balance again. All right. Shift your legs, shift your butt, shift your hand support. Find a nice, comfortable spot again. From here, we're ready. We're going to hang out in this position for 30 seconds. Right now, our toes are pointing up, our knees are pointing up, our head is pointing up. We're in a side split. We're hanging out. 30 seconds. Let's go. Breathe. 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, get rid of your hand support if you can. If you cannot, just slide it out of the way a little bit. Just slowly find a way to bring your arms forward so you can pull your legs in underneath you. Whew. Grunt, groan, make as many sound effects as you need to. Chill, relax, come out of that stretched out position. Do whatever you want to do at this point, all right? What we just did was put a whole bunch of tension into our legs, into our hips. What we want to do next is shake out that tension, shake out our hips so that we can get into an even better second side split. So if you're ready, take a step forward. Come on back up into standing. Shake out your legs. Shake, 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 shake. I want you to look at your ankles, and I want you to see them flopping a little bit. All right? You're going to start nice and gentle, just a little tiny vibration, and then you can pick up the intensity if you want. Shake a little harder. Shake, 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 as long as it's comfortable for you. All right? The goal here is to visually see that your ankles flopping around like a crazy fish you just caught. I don't know if you've ever been fishing. I've actually only fished once, and I barely caught this tiny little fish, so I don't even know where I'm going with this analogy. But shake out your other ankle, and I'll talk about why this is important. When your ankle is flopping back and forth, going to crazy looking places super fast, the muscles in your leg that would stop your ankle from being able to do that have to be relaxed. Relaxed enough to let you go. Flop, 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 flop. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Shake, 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 shake. Right? The reason why that's important is because of this right here. We're going to take a couple of steps now. I want you to make sure your legs are working a little bit better, especially compared to when we just got out of that stretch. And I want you to do a little dance, do a little wiggle, do a little shimmy. Boom, 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 boom. And if your legs are moving a little bit better, let's move on into our hips. All right? All your weight in one leg. Big toe is down, like so. I want you to really point this knee way out that way. And I want you to bring it in. Boom. And then bring it back out. Boom. Then bring it back in. Boom. When you bring it in, I want the knees to almost touch. All right? I want you to really contract the muscles in your hips, in your groin, and build up some control, build up that mobility, and take it very seriously, okay? We're gonna switch to the other side. All your weight is in one leg, big toe is down. Point the knee all the way out, bring the knee all the way in. Let's go. Boom, 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 boom. When you're new to this movement, the goal is to focus on making sure you got the movement, all right? Really focusing on the whole range of motion, having strength, having control over it. And when you get a little bit more comfortable with it, you've been doing it for a little bit, you can go a little faster. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You turn to dance move. Do some stanky leg. Just have fun with it. All right. Hopefully, that's enough rest because I think we're about ready to get into side split number 2. Get your hand support ready. Pull it in front of you. Get your butt to a wall. Let's get ready to fold. Open up those legs just a little bit. Doesn't have to be crazy, right? Just like last time. Fold forward. Whee! Put your hands on your hand support and open up those legs just a little bit to get us started. From here, we're going to rotate the legs to protect our hip bones, all right? It's going to look like this. Boom, heels are down, toes are up, knees are pointing up. We're going to rotate the other leg. Boom, heels are down, toes are up, knees are pointing up. We're just rotating the leg backwards 90 degrees, all right? From here, adjust your hand support a little if you need to. Find a comfortable spot. Drop your hips lower. Let your butt slide down the wall. The wall is there to keep you supported, to keep you from falling backwards, to help you stay balanced. So take advantage of it. All right. When you've gotten a little bit lower, you've found your comfortable spot, it's time for us to breathe. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Sink a little deeper into your stretch. Let's do it again. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Sink a little deeper into your stretch. Let's do it again. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Sink a little deeper into your stretch. Here we are. Optional movement. Do a little wiggle to the right, a little wiggle to the left, wiggle to the right, little left, right, left, right, left, right. And if you can't go any further, we're ready to get into side split number 2. All right. What I want you to do this time is walk your hands forward just a tiny little bit so that your hands are underneath your shoulders and your knees and your toes are kind of pointing forward at like a diagonal, 45-ish degree angle. The reason for that is because you're going to start feeling the muscle here in the inner thigh getting stretched, and that's what we want. 30 seconds. Let's do it. 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18,
17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, that's it. Push your hand support out of the way. Walk your hands forward. Bring your legs in underneath you. Grunt, groan. Make as many sound effects as you need to. That is our second side split. All right. Rest for a second. Take a moment. And when you're ready, come on back up into standing. Let's shake out the tension again. Shakety, shake, shake, shake. Shake out your ankles, nice and slow. If your balance is not so good, feel free to hold on to something. Give yourself a little bit of support. Remember, the goal is to let the leg muscles relax. All right, we want you to look like you're made of jelly. We want you to flop around like a fresh fish. Other side. Shake, 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 shake. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. I don't know why I'm obsessed with fish today. I don't ever talk about fish as an example of floppiness on this show, but if you like floppy fishy, I don't know, analogies, then let me know. All right. Once your other ankle is shaken out, we're gonna move on into our hips. All your weight on one leg, big toe is down, knee in, knee out, knee in, knee out. This movement is all about this leg bone, where it connects to the hip, rotating. All right. I exaggerate the movement a little bit with the rest of my body to make it a little bit more fun, but that's not important for the actual movement. We're rotating here. We're flexing the glute muscle to pull the knee to point that way, to the left or the right. We're contracting a muscle here in the front of the hip to boom, bring the legs together. And once you've done a couple of those, do a couple of fast ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let's switch to the other side. Boom. Nice and slow. And controlled. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whew. Shake out your legs. Shake out everything. Flop around, wiggle. We want everything to be relaxed. We want everything to be loose. We want to get prepared for our third and final side split. It's coming right up. Let's go. Hand support in front of you. Butt up against the wall. Take a tiny little baby step forward. Open up those legs. Does not have to be crazy. Not yet. Fold forward. Whee! Put your hands on your hand support and open up those legs a little bit. Rotate the legs so that the heels are down, the toes are up, the knees are pointing up. Do it on both sides. Do a little wiggle, do a little shimmy. See if you can get a little bit deeper. Adjust your hand support, adjust your legs, adjust your butt so that you can find a comfortable spot that you might be able to rest in for a little bit. You might be able to relax in, as best as you can, because this position is not easy to relax in. It's very stressful. And we're going to breathe. Y'all ready? Let's go. Big breath in, inhale. Hold. Exhale. See if you can sink a little deeper into your stretch. By the way, if you can't sink, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Just focus on breathing and trying your best to chill. The more you try to be forceful with it, the harder it's going to be to chill. So relax. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Sink a little deeper into your stretch. Let's do it again. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. See if you can sink a little tiny bit deeper into your stretch. Optional little wiggles. Ready? To the right, to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left. And if you can't go any further, it's time for us to get ready for side split number 3. All right, you got the option between the first version that we did, where the toes are pointing up, the knees are pointing up, the head is pointing up. You got the second version where your hands are slightly forward, so you're going to feel more of the stretch in your inner thighs. And what you do is up to you. So just get into position, and we're going to hold for 30 seconds. Y'all ready? Let's go. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Put your hands down. We're done. Walk your hands forward. Bring your legs in underneath you. Grunt, groan, make as many sound effects as you need to. That is our third and final side split. of the day. We've done all the crazy hard stuff. All we got left is some more shaking, some chilling, some relaxing so that your body can get back to kind of normal and then you can do whatever else you got to do today, right? So, when you're ready, take a couple of steps. Come on up. Make sure your legs are working okay. And let's get ready to shake it out. Shake out the ankles. Shake, 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 shake. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Flop, 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 flop. Shakety, shake, shake, shake. Wiggle some more. Floppy, flop, 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 some more. And relax. Remember, the goal isn't to have the fastest moving ankle ever. It's probably a good sign your leg is relaxed, but you don't have to go that hard. Right? The goal is just to relax enough so that you can get the results that you want. You don't have to be the fastest flopping human to ever exist. You don't have to go 0 to 100 and start shaking really hard right away. Take it nice and slow, take it chill, build up a little bit. The goal is to be loose. All right, next, we're moving on into our hips. Let's go all your way to one leg. Big toe is down. Knee in, knee out, knee in, knee out, knee in, knee out. You've probably heard enough of this, so let's talk about ways to make this a little bit more fun. All right, I'm a big believer of you trying to find cool ways to use the mobility that you're training so that it's easier to keep the mobility. All right, if you never practice that move because you're like, oh, I only do this when I do mobility training, when you stop doing mobility training, your mobility is also going to slowly go away. So if you can find a cool way to make it a part of the things that you regularly do, it won't go away. All right. For this thing right here, one of your options here is some stanky leg. If you bend this knee a little bit, extend that leg out to the side, and you gracefully pull your leg in and pull that leg arm in at the same time, you got a little bit of a stanky leg. And you can combine it. You can do both sides at the same time. You can have fun with it. You can make it not look like a stanky leg at all and just drag that leg back and forth. If you have high friction floors, be careful because if your toes get caught and the skin starts getting irritated and itchy, that might not be so fun. But do it a couple of times. That should be okay. Cool. All right. We're done with that. Let's move on into some joint checks. Let's wrap up for the day. All right. We're going to do some slow and deep hip circles. We're going to slowly scoot, fold, lean real deep so you feel that stretch in the outside of your hip. And then we're going to slowly circle around. Maybe feel a little bit of relaxation in the low back. Come on around. Oh, yeah. Feeling the other side of the hip. Come on back. Oh, jeez. And whew, take your time. There's absolutely no rush. This is the end of our show. We are just trying to make sure everything is moving good, moving well. If you're feeling really stuck somewhere, if it's really sensitive somewhere, feel free to pause there, give it some extra love, some extra time. And oh, when you're ready to move on, hopefully you switch directions at some point because I think I forgot to say that. We're going to do a couple of calf raises from a squatting position to wrap things up. This calf raise is going to be really challenging. It's going to challenge your balance. It's going to challenge a whole bunch of different muscles and joints. All right. I want you to get into a standing situation where your legs are about hips width apart. All right. Not super wide, not super narrow, about hips width apart. From here, we're going to pop into a squat. And in this squat, I want you to really lean forward. And I want you to push your knees forward as well so that you get a nice stretch in your Achilles tendon in your calves. If you poke at them when your knees are going forward, you should feel the tension in the back of your leg. All right. From here, you might feel like you're about to tip over. And if that is the case, that is exactly what we want because it's going to force your toes to really clamp down into the ground to keep you stable. And it's going to force the arch of your foot to also kick in to help keep you stable. And that's what we want. All right. So from here, chest, head forward, knees forward. Feel like you're about to tip over. If you can, you might need to stick your butt up a little bit higher. Stick your hands down on the ground for a little bit of support. And let's do some calf raises. Heels up and down. Feel that Achilles tendon stretch. Again, heels up, heels down. Feel that stretch. Heels up, heels down. That's 3. Do as many as you'd like. If you want to stop at any point, you're like, my quads are giving up, my ankles are giving up, everything is giving up, we're ready to wrap. All right. What we just did, if you're able to do most of it, you're probably fine because we got our toes gripping the floor. We had the arch of our foot trying to keep us stable. We got a whole bunch of ankle mobility, calf stretch, calf strengthening, quads working, low back working, and all the joints in between your hips, your knees, your ankles, your feet, bones, and your toes. So if you're able to do most of that movement, a couple of reps, chances are you're probably good to go back to whatever else you got to do for the rest of the day. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming in, practicing consistency, working on your side splits, working on your hip mobility with me today. We are officially done. It's been about an hour, pretty much exactly an hour. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're feeling a little looser, you're moving a little bit better. Perhaps if it's your first time joining in, you found out you're more flexible than you thought because you just never spent enough time in some of these stretches, especially the hamstring stretch because we spent a ton of time in that one. Is there anything else you need to know? I make a bunch of content. All right. This live stream happens every single day at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And this is the time where we work on some intense stretching, some very specific hip work with the goal of eventually getting some side splits. All right. But I make other content regularly when you're, doom scrolling, that type of content. That stuff typically is about trying to incorporate a little bit of exercise into your normal life. All right. If you got 2 minutes waiting for coffee to come out the little machine, if you got 2 minutes waiting for your microwave to heat up your food, if you got 5, 6, 8, 9 minutes waiting for your pasta to become al dente in that hot water, then you got a lot of time you can absolutely use to do a little bit of side splits, hip mobility, just regular old exercise, right? It could be anything. It doesn't have to be my show. If you have a movement somebody else has told you should do a lot more of, feel free to do that. But just don't sleep on those 2 minutes, right? When you start integrating a little bit of movement into your life and you're like, oh, you know what? I do feel a little bit better when I do these. It starts becoming positive reinforcement. You start being that guy or girl who's a little weird sometimes and just does some exercise randomly out of the blue. But if you feel better, then who cares? All right. That is pretty much it. That's the reason I make content to help remind you that when you got a couple of moments, if you have 30 seconds, if you could do calf raises nonstop for 30 seconds, it'd be a ton of calf raises. If you could do squats for 30 seconds, if you could do push-ups for 30 seconds, if you could do some of the exercises that we did today for 30 seconds, it would be a lot of time. All right. So don't sleep on those 2 minutes. Hopefully you hit follow. Hopefully you hit subscribe. So next time you're doom scrolling, you'll run into my content and then you'll be like, oh, wait, look, I do have 30 seconds left. I'm going to go do a little bit of something. Cool. Is there anything else you need to know? No, I think that's it. I'm gonna check out the chat and see how things are going because I haven't really looked at it at all today, and then we'll wrap up with some Q&A, looking at the chat, and hopefully I'll see you real soon. All right, let's go. I'm gonna scoop my butt over. This chair is way too tall. Where's the other stool? Ugh. I'm crawling over to the devices. Let's see what we got. This tennis ball smells like my dog's mouth. All right. Lazum says, great news. I'm able to hold on the split without the feeling of falling. Getting stronger. Thanks. Amazing. That's awesome, Lazum. That's so great to hear. It's a huge part of getting comfortable in that sort of side split position, right? Because when you first get into it, your muscles aren't strong enough. You're not sure how to balance. You're trying to shift your way back and forth. And we try to, or I try to make sure that that stage feels a little bit easier right now, especially when we put the butt against the wall, hands on our hand support, and we specifically talk about why we're doing all those things. And it's basically to help you get to that point where you feel like you can hang out there. It's not so scary. You're strong enough that you're able to hold the legs together, and now you can slowly just keep on building strength as you drop lower and lower and lower. So congratulations, that's awesome. Let's see what else we got. Um, Noctis says, been here for 50-ish minutes. I think it was awesome. I got my front split. I don't know how you got your front split, but that's incredible. Good job. Lois says, thank you. You're very welcome. Lesum says, yes. YVNG MFK says, thanks, brother. You're welcome. Travel Archer says, this was great. Larissa says, so grateful. Oh, she also said right before that, sorry, I thought that would have been a more masculine crown. I thank you so much for this. So much. Hey, if it was more feminine because it had jewels, I appreciate jewels. Those are worth a lot of money, you know. I don't know. Gold these days is I don't actually know what the crown looked like. I didn't see it, so I'm just trying to make up something funny. But I'm out of funny stuff, so I'm sorry. I'm gonna just move on. Chrissy says, "Thank you, first time on the live, and it's great, amazing, Chrissy. Thank you for being here. Thank you for jumping into the chat and letting me know, because a lot of the chat or a lot of the show is designed to be very welcoming to new people.
Because a lot of the time, jumping into an exercise routine for the first time is kind of scary. It's kind of hard, right? And sometimes when you're in a class that somebody's been teaching for a long time, they don't explain things as well anymore. So you're just looking up and you're like, what are they doing? How are they doing that? What's going on? And I try my best to have enough verbal instructions that hopefully you can get through it without being like, what's happening? What's that? What's going on? All right. We're gonna keep scrolling, and what else we got? Trouble with Roxy is talking to Jeffrey about the rest of the show. I actually don't know what stenosis is, so I don't know if what we did was good for stenosis. But I hope you Googled it and you can let me know so that I learn something. I am very, 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 very open to learning new things. So let me know if you're still on. We got a whole bunch of people following the live. I'm gonna scroll. If I look like I'm really angry while I'm squinting, it's just because I have a light over here that's really bright, and the phones are also really bright right now, so reading is hard. My eyes are getting old, I guess, and it's not because I'm frustrated. It's just I can't see. Larissa says, "Wow, so glad I made it to this, man. Awesome, great vibes. Thank you for sending all the happy good stuff." All right. I'm gonna scroll up real quick and see if there are any questions that have come through at any point that I can actually help with. Lois says, got here on time. Larissa sending hearts. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Netta says, hello, I made it. Oh man, so many people reporting in. I love it. YVNKMFK asks, any tips for balancing on here? If you're still on, let me know what move we were kind of doing, like what the move was, and I can definitely talk about balance. There's two moves I'm thinking of. One is like the hip cars right at the early beginning, and the second one might be the pancake stretch when we're folding forward. I'm gonna scroll up real fast to see if this is early enough in the chat for it to still be hip cars. And then side splits with your other foot pointing up. Oh, okay, 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 okay. So if you're struggling with balance, this is sort of why we have all the implements, right? This it is that is a very hard spot. I can't believe that comment came in that late. I felt like, anyways. So when the heels are down and the toes are up, and you're sitting in that side split, it's gonna be really hard to balance, right? Your legs are like flopping all over the place. They're sliding out, and then your legs are like rotating. You're struggling to control. This is why we have the wall and we have the hand support, right? So I want you to always have your butt resting against the wall so that you don't do as much rotation, right? And when your hands are on your hand support, if you pull your hand support really close to the center of your legs, it's going to make it much harder for you to rotate. When you can't rotate as much because your hands are locked in right in front of you, it's going to be much easier to stay in place. The one thing that might still cause you problems is if you're coming too low, your feet slip forward and then you fall backwards and you slide your butt down like that. That is the main thing that you got to look out for. And what I like to do to help with that step is basically just lean my upper body really far forward as far as I can for as long as I can. And then that typically works out for me. Let me know if you give that a try, if that helps. But when you're leaning forward like this, basically your legs can only slide backwards. That's the trick, basically. And if your butt is against the wall, it can't really slide that far backwards. But if you sit up a little too straight and you're like, trying to get deep, if you lean back a little too far, your legs are going to want to tuck forward, and that's going to cause you to slip out forward. All right. So recap all of that. Bring your arms real close to your legs, and then bring everything, squish it as far back towards the wall as you can. Have your butt rest against the wall, remove all the possibilities or as much possibility of your hips rotating, your legs rotating as possible, and lean your torso forward a little bit so that your legs are sort of, if you were to slide, would slide behind you and not forward. And that should help stabilize everything. Cool? All right. Boy, I need this. Coming back. Coming back. Um, Kay's Lovin says, should I feel strong pulling behind my knees in the splits? It shouldn't be super crazy. but it shouldn't also be not intense because those muscles are definitely part of the muscles getting stretched in your side split. Um, if it feels like it's the most intense part of that movement, maybe you want to not go as deep for a couple of days. You want to try a couple of different variations. Maybe you want to try rotating the leg a little bit and see if it stresses or emphasizes different parts of that leg around the knee area. Just don't bend the knee. All right. When you bend the knee, typically it puts a lot of pressure on a whole bunch of weaker muscles that aren't contracting, and that's going to be way more uncomfortable. So as long as you keep your legs straight, you can work on rotating a tiny bit. Not, I'm exaggerating, right? To see if that takes a little bit of pressure off of the behind the knee area that you're struggling with. But in general, if this is one of your first couple of times working on the splits, I think I've seen your username in the chat before, so I know it's not your first time. But you can always just dial back the intensity for a couple of days. Give your body a little bit more time to rest, to adjust, not beat it up so much in our side splits every single day. Take a day or two off and see if that helps with the pulling sensation behind the knee. Sometimes you just need a little rest. Cool. All right. Oh, scrolling back. What else we got? Nady says your channel reminds me to stretch more. Good. That's that's the goal. Hopefully you don't only stretch. All right. Doing a little bit of physical training to strengthen your muscles is actually super helpful for getting into deeper stretches. Right. So the way stretching works a lot of the time is your brain subconsciously somewhere goes and understands what you can do and what you can't do. All right. And then knows kind of based on what you actually do. So if you're not doing very much, your brain's gonna be like, oh, they don't need all that range of motion. They don't use that range of motion. They'll slowly decrease how much movement you actually can get out of a joint. And your muscles will just not let you go there anymore. Though there's a subconscious thing called a stretch reflex. When you start getting real close to what your body, what your brain thinks, your nervous system thinks is as far as it can control, it's just going to stop you. It's going to be like, no, we're done here. And a lot of the time, when you feel that tension, that like tightness, when you get into a deep stretch, that's just the stretch reflex kicking in. And the way it sort of stops you is by forcing your muscle to contract, right? When we were doing the side splits, we talked about trying our best to relax, trying our best to chill, trying our best to find a stable position so that our body would not contract, not try to stay really tight to protect ourselves. And it's basically the same idea. When you're relaxed, when you're breathing nice and deep, when you're chilling, you can tend to eke out a little tiny bit more out of your muscle. But for the stretch reflex specifically, when that thing kicks in, that stops you from going deeper into the stretch, there's a couple of tricks. One of them, the main one, is called PNF. I have no idea how it's actually spelled. But the acronym is P as in potatoes, N as in Niagara Falls, and F as in falls. P and F. And the idea is to go out of your way to contract the muscle that is already contracting to stop you from going into a deeper stretch. And then your brain is going to go, oh, hey, look, we don't have to use the stretch reflex to stop them from going to that position. They're already firing off that muscle. We'll just let the stretch reflex chill. It's all good. They're already working at it. And when your stretch reflex turns off for just a little bit, you'll have a short window, a couple of seconds, where you can get into a slightly deeper stretch before your body goes, whoa, what the heck? They're doing it again. And then the stretch reflex will kick in. So, long explanation short, PNF is, or at least basic PNF, is also called contract relax stretching. And basically, you stretch yourself into a position where your stretch reflex kicks in. I don't know why I'm pointing to the bicep. It's not relevant to the bicep at all. But uh, the muscle is stretched. And then the stretch reflex has kicked in because you're going into a deep range of motion. Once you contract the muscle on top of being in that stretched position, even if you're not going anywhere, it's going to turn off the stretch reflex, and then you'll be able to get a little tiny bit deeper. I have no idea why I went down this tiny tangent about PNF. So I'm going to scroll through the chat real quick to see what is going on here.
Your channel reminds me to stretch more, maybe, possibly. Um, we got a question that will be really easy to answer, and I'll answer your question, Keisha. I saw it just come in. I have something like an 8.5, 9 inch stool, probably, I would guess. This is the main one that I use, and I think you could probably use it if you're pretty much anywhere in this range. I think this stool is probably like 16 or 18 inches. That looks like it's about half, right? So 16 to 18 inches, and it would be perfectly fine for a lot of stuff until you get down to elbow height, right? If you got stools at home, they don't have to be these fancy folding ones. These happen to be the ones that I have because I like things that save space when I'm not using them. Um, and I didn't buy them for fitness. All right, these are just things that I have because I'm short. All right, I need to reach things, and so I have stools. So 8 inches and 16 inches are the two stools that I have, and the 8 inch one works pretty well for me. But I think generally in that range will be good. If you're gonna consider buying the 16-inch stool, if you have a chair at home, that might be plenty. That might be like a perfect replacement. You might not need to grab a folding stool. All right. Um, just make sure when you do get whatever that you're gonna use, if you get something, it's stable enough that it can hold on to your weight, that it's not slippery enough, like it won't collapse, it won't tip over or anything like that, and just test it a little bit so that you can return it if you need to. Cool. All right. Keisha asked, should I be doing PNF during our side splits? How long should I contract my muscles? Uh, it depends. So generally, a lot of people have like some specific guidelines. But for your leg muscles, depending on how strong you are, it might take a lot longer. There are some people who will take like 30 seconds for your stretch reflex to turn off before you can get into a deeper stretch. So it might be worthwhile to experiment. But if you want just a general rule of thumb to get you started, if you contract for about 8 to 10 seconds, and then you hold on, let me just cover the PNF protocol from the beginning, so I don't give you half the information that you need. If we're getting into our stretch, right? And I'm going to do it for realsies in real life so I don't forget a step. We're going to slowly come on down into our position, right? We're going to find out where we can get to without going too crazy. You're going to find your position. You're like, oh, this is enough. This is crazy. This is crazy. We're going to try and get deeper from here in this position, all right? What we're going to do is we're going to slowly, over the course of like 2 or 3 seconds, we're going to get to like 80, 90% contraction. And in this case, I'm able to hold myself up with that contraction. And for most of us, the higher up you are, the more likely you'll be able to hold yourself up, right? The lower you are, the more taxing it's going to be on your muscles to hold up your body weight. So yours will look different than mine, depending on how strong your legs are. But the stronger your legs are, possibly the more time you need for the stretch reflex to turn off. So it's a compromise there. Once you have cranked up the tension in those muscles nice and slow, you don't have to do it 0 to 100. Take it a couple of seconds, and you've held it for 8, 9, 10 seconds. I want you to slowly relax. It doesn't have to be instantly turn off your muscles, and then take a second to see if you can stretch a little bit deeper. All right. Then just chill. Chill for 5 seconds. Let your muscles do whatever they gotta do, and then slowly pick up that contraction again. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. See if you can drop a little deeper into the stretch. Relax. Just chill. You don't have to do anything. Once you've opened up your legs a little bit deeper, and go again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right. See if you can get a little bit more stretch out of that muscle, get a little bit deeper. And if you can go further, feel free to keep trying. But that should be plenty. Oh. So, if you want it to be really easy to remember, You can do like 8 seconds and 8 seconds, and then just rest in between. If you want it to be super ultra easy to remember, maybe like 10 and 10. We do about 30-ish seconds on our side splits. So if you want to slowly pick up the intensity for the first 10 seconds and then rest for somewhere between like 5 to 10 seconds, and then go again and contract real hard for 5 to 8 seconds, so you can get a couple seconds at the end to see if you can get just a little bit deeper. That will probably work. But if you want to make it super easy to remember, because all that was super confusing, I threw so many numbers at you. You can do 10 contraction, 10 relaxing, 10 contraction, and then while I talk and grunt and groan and make all the sound effects of us getting up out of that stretch, since you're regular, feel free to get out of it as you want to. And take a couple extra seconds, see if you can get a little bit deeper while you're at it. Cool? All right. 10, 10, 10. Hope that helps. Okay. There's also even more advanced versions of the PNF where you contract the opposite muscles, right? So far we're contracting the inner thigh muscles to sort of bring our legs together to fight the fact that gravity is trying to spread the legs apart, right? If you do the opposite, or sorry, do the more advanced PNF, there is another component where you're contracting the muscle, you're letting that muscle go loose, and then you're contracting the opposite, the antagonist muscle. So in this case, you'd be contracting the muscles here in the top of the hip, like you're trying to pull the leg up. And when you try to pull the leg up, hopefully you also open up a little bit more room for your legs to get a little bit deeper into the stretch. That takes it up another level to even more craziness. But most people don't need to go there. You don't have to suffer through that. It's okay. If you want to get to your side splits a little bit faster, PNF has been studied to be like twice, maybe 3 times faster than the relaxed type of stretching, which is mostly what we're doing. I try to integrate a little bit of PNF stuff throughout, and I try to make sure I talk about PNF enough so that you guys can experiment with it and try to add it in. But if you want to have a more advanced side split class where we do more PNF, I'm happy to do that too. Just let me know in the chat. Cool? All right. Ugh, I'm coming back. What else we got here? Keisha says PNF looks intense, but I'll try it for the 10 seconds. Thank you. You can start with 5. You don't have to go all 10. 10 just makes it easier to remember, and it does take a certain amount of time for the stretch reflex to, shut itself off so that you can eke out a little bit more range out of the stretch. So you might find that 8 seconds is plenty, and then you can do whatever you want with that information, right? You can go for 8 seconds of contraction, relax for 10, slowly let your legs go a little bit wider over the course of those seconds, and then prepare yourself mentally for another 8 seconds. And then however many seconds are left after that, when I'm counting down, you can just chill and see if you can get a little bit more range. And then finally you'll be done with it. You'll be like, oh man. Oh. So give that a shot. All right. I'm gonna scroll on down and see if anything else new has come in. Cam 2210 22105 says thank you. You're very welcome. Chareth has joined and sent to heart me. Thank you very much, Chareth. I appreciate it. And Kay's loving says, okay, cool, thanks. I will try it. Just my second time. Yes, I knew I saw your username. I couldn't remember if it was yesterday. All right. I think that is the majority of the chat on TikTok. I'm going to jump over to YouTube real quick and take a look at what else has happened that I haven't been looking at before. Keisha says, yes, got deeper in my split. Amazing. All right. Keisha says, oh boy, even hopping on late, I can't avoid the pigeon stretch. No, the pigeon stretch literally comes right before the side splits. I don't know if you're ever gonna miss it. It's pretty hard. Sadis Esma says, hello, I'm from Turkey. Welcome from Turkey. Sachi Muchi means, is this true? I don't know what that means. Is that okay? I'm gonna move on. Hey amigo, I'm 36-year-old, can't do many before the age 33. I was able to. That's okay. For most of us, 36 is not gonna be that bad. All right, you got lots more years to come. So I think for most people, if you get into a little bit more movement and you take it nice and slow, don't use your age 33 as the benchmark that you're trying to fight back to aggressively. Just know at 33 I was able to do this. You can still do this at 36. You can still do this at 37. You can still do this at 47. All right. You don't have to do as crazy looking things as I might have done if it feels crazy to you. If it doesn't feel crazy to you, then feel free to do whatever you want. But um, oh, you know what? I'm also pushing 33. So hopefully I'll be able to do these at 36, and hopefully I'll be able to keep doing them as we continue. So please take it slow. Don't beat yourself up. When you start moving, your body is really good at relearning, regaining the abilities that you used to have, and it does it faster than it took you the first time to get that. So if you're trying to build strength because you haven't worked out for a couple years, maybe you had kids or something, and you just been slacking off because you got other things to worry about, which is totally fine. When you rebuild that strength, it's going to come twice as fast, maybe three times as fast. And same applies for flexibility and mobility. If you had it before, it's going to be much easier to get back into these positions because your body somehow, some way knows that you can handle it. All right. So don't worry about it. Start training. A little bit goes a long way. And the majority of the content that I make is about trying to make fitness a little bit more fun, exploring new movements, finding cool things to do so that you can keep your body feeling good. All right. I said this a little bit earlier, but if you got 2 minutes waiting for coffee to come out your machine, if you got 2 minutes waiting for the microwave to heat up your food, those are magical, tiny chunks of time where your body would love it if you got a little bit of movement in, right? Oftentimes, when we're sitting at a computer for too long and your back is kind of like stiff and you're like kind of waddling around a little bit, just doing some hip circles, nice and slow, might make a huge difference. By the time you're done with 2 minutes of hip circles, you might feel super relaxed. You might be moving way better. You might be ready to sit for another couple hours, right? There's a lot that a couple of seconds can do for you. And so I hope you don't sleep on them. And I hope you hit follow, you hit subscribe, because I make a lot of content about trying to squeeze in a workout in 2 minutes. So if you're doom scrolling next time and you find my content, you'll be like, oh, look, I only have 30 seconds left, but Ken is talking about something that takes 30 seconds. Great, I'll do that. That's the goal. Cool? All right. What else? I'm gonna scroll up a little further and see if there's anything else to do. Nope, nope, nope. That's good. Jax says, sending good vibes. Keisha sending good vibes. Keisha says, I'm 37, trying to get my side splits. Never too late to start. Amazing, Keisha. Thank you for saving me because I was running out of stuff to say there. Appearing Phenomena asks, like I can activate muscles that haven't been active, optimizing physical potential. Um, Optimizing physical potential gets into this like crazy world where uh realistically, unless you got a lot of money to spend to find a lot of expertise, you're never going to know if you're optimizing your physical potential, right? You can only hope for the best. So does activating muscles that haven't been active generally do good things for you? Yes, yes. You got a lot of muscles, and if some of them get really strong, the opposite muscles, the ones that do the opposite thing that those muscles do, if they're super weak, it causes physical imbalances and it makes you really, really uncomfortable and stiff, and sometimes gives you a bunch of cramps because your weaker muscles are just working really hard, barely trying to keep up with just barely able to keep up against your really tough muscles. An example would be in your arm, since I'm standing and this is right in the middle of the screen, your biceps, their job is to bring your forearm up towards your shoulder, right? It's to close this angle. Your triceps do the opposite. When the triceps contract, they pull this down and straighten out your arm, right? If you've never do a bicep curl ever again, and all you do is some crazy form of tricep extension, your triceps get really, 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 really strong. Your biceps might just be really tired all the time because it's just trying to keep up with your triceps. It's possible. It's very unlikely that anybody would train that way, but sometimes that does happen when you have a very unique niche sport. An example would be if you are a arm wrestler and you're competing at like elite levels of arm wrestling, you develop some crazy muscles that get super ridiculously strong, and at elite levels, there are dudes whose arms literally like don't go past certain angles. I have no idea how that works. So I don't know if that's a tendon thing. I don't know if that's like bone spurs and joint things going on. But when you don't use a bunch of muscles and you don't train them evenly, you tend to lose a little bit of mobility. And if you do it long enough, things get a little bit funky, things get a little bit weird. But the body is very good at adapting. So, what is an example of this? I have a weird example because I can't think of anything else other than the arm wrestling at the moment. Bows, like war archers, archery, used to use bows that are like crazy, 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 crazy heavy because they were trying to kill their enemies from raiding the castle or whatever, right? Like just roll with this analogy for a second. And when this was the motion to draw a bow or some version of that, uh, archers would have one half of their body, their upper back muscles, be really developed, but their bones would literally be denser on one half of their body because they're actively using a whole bunch of resistance to fire the arrow out, right? And when you actively train one side of your body really, 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 really crazily, it causes the body to adapt. And I think the archaeological like unburying of people that they found. They're like, oh, clearly this is an archer because one side of their body is like the bones are like just crazier. So, uh, if there's an absolute clear need for you to develop one side of your body, some of the muscles for some specific reason, whatever it is that you care about, arm wrestling, 100 pound draw weight archery, whatever it is, uh, then you gotta make some sacrifices in your mobility and your functional life. But for most of us, if we're just sitting around in AC typing away on our computers or something like that, you don't really have to make that sacrifice, right? So focusing on being able to move well tends to be the better thing for most people. Um, I got no idea how to optimize your physical potential. I imagine sleeping well would be even more important than activating your muscles because recovery is going to make everything better. So if you're chasing optimal, I'm going to be of absolutely zero help to you. But my philosophy towards chasing optimal and perfection and being min-maxing, perhaps if you play video games, is for most of us is too much work. It's not worth the effort because you gotta live life. Life is only so long. Exercising already takes a huge portion of time if you actually want to move well. So have fun with it. All right. If optimizing for perfect physical, like technical skill, because you are a dancer, is important to you. You're like you got ballet drilled into you for 10 years, and you like I got to make this look beautiful and pretty and perfect, and that's fun for you. Like great, fantastic. You keep rolling with that. But for most people, you don't have to aim for perfection. Just go do cool things that you enjoy, and that will take you most of the way. Cool? All right. Hope that kind of covers that question without actually covering that question. All right. I'm gonna take a quick look at TikTok one last time, and if there's anything left, I'll address it. If not, we're gonna wrap up. Eileen says thanks, and we got a question here. Donia Gazal says, "Hello, can you send that hip mobility movement on the floor? Hip mobility movement on the floor. Can I do the side split all the way down to the floor? No, I am not there yet. I've been working on it. I've been working on it for forever. Feels like forever. I'm not there yet. But the show, as it is, has done pretty much all of the work and all the progress from like being up here to wherever you just saw me at. Um, with the exception of maybe the last couple of weeks, I've been doing a little bit more isometric work. But that hasn't resulted in me dropping down very much lower. So I don't think I'm doing enough volume in the isometric work anyway. I think partially that's because I spend so much time doing the live thing. So I get really tired and I get sore when I spend much more time training the more intense way. And so part of the reason why the Saturday and Sunday morning lives have turned into back posture and mobility in the spine lives is so I get a little bit more time to relax and recover in the hips. And I think because I don't let them recover as much as I probably should. They're not in the or not increasing. They're not dropping lower in my size split as fast as I would like. I hope that answers your question. All right. Appearing Phenomena says, thanks. You were more helpful than you think. Oh, amazing. I'm glad you're still here. And I certainly hope, at the very least, you got my philosophy towards the stuff, right? And at least now you know whether or not you should ask me more questions because I may or may not be helpful. Okay. Uh, What else do we have in the chat? Raphael says, hi, good night. Raphael says, Brazil here. Suri asked, do I own chickens? No, I was visiting a friend for a couple of days. I was cat, dog, and chicken sitting because they had to visit other people, visit family. And so I get to go hang out and enjoy the chickens. And I have visited that friend, I think basically once a month for like the last 3 or 4 months. So I've got to see the chickens go from like hand sized, like little tiny, cute little chicks to much bigger, and now they're like huge. They're enormous. I think they start laying eggs in 1 month, so in 4 more weeks or so, and then I guess they'll be full grown. We got a compliment over here. Your muscle is very handsome. Thank you. Do you have two different emojis next to your name? Interesting. Okay. Um, Suri says, do you think they remember you from when they were babies? I honestly have no idea. They seem very friendly, and I hope they remember me because that would make me feel really cool, and it would make me feel like they jump onto my shoulders because they know me, not because they jump onto everybody's shoulders. But nobody else who visits the chicks makes videos, so I don't actually know if that's how it works. But um, they're super friendly. If you stick your arms out long enough, they'll just come up, they'll be curious, they'll jump on, they'll just kind of like hang out there for a little bit until my arms get tired and I can't hold them up anymore, and then I drop them, and then they go flying away. They jump off and they go, and it's adorable. It's really fun. Um, yeah, and they're not so much work before. When they were like super tiny, cute chicks, there was lots of instructions for how to take care of them, how to make sure they don't get sick, controlling the temperature and stuff so that they can grow, I guess, properly. But now that they're pretty much like full-grown adults, essentially late teenagers, I guess, maybe. You don't have to do anything anymore. So it's very, very chill. You just get to go hang out, check on them, give them some apple cores, throw some bugs at them, let them go whoosh, whoosh, snap them off the ground, that type of stuff. So he says, that's so fun. Yes, yes, it is very fun. All right. Kay's Lovin says, you've been very helpful. Thanks again. You're very welcome. And we got a clarification of the username is, my name is Ora. I don't know what a trill R means. Triple R. Ora. Oh, okay. Triple R. Gotcha. Cool. Nice to meet you. Ora. Okay. One last comment coming in over on YouTube. David says, thank you for sharing the knowledge. After I did one of your workouts, I felt like Bruce Lee, a real mastermind. I'm like, amazing. That is the kind of confidence I want to inspire everybody. All right. Um, your body's designed to move, and it takes time, it takes effort to make sure that it keeps moving. But if you can keep your body moving well, life only gets easier, right? Um, you only get one. So the better you can take care of it, the better you can get to do things, the better you can get muscles to relax on command when you want it to, the more you can control your muscles to contract when you want it to, the easier it is that you have balancing. It's just gonna make life easier and more fun, so you can go do other cool things, right? There are plenty of people, my parents included, who I was helping my dad move a refrigerator today. My dad is still very strong, but I'm seeing his stiffness when he's bending over. I'm seeing his stiffness when he's putting on shoes now, and I, haven't noticed it as much before. And I think I gotta go drill him on some mobility work. But uh, it, being able to move your body only makes life easier. All right, so don't take it for granted, and be like Bruce Lee whenever you can. I'm getting ready to wrap up. Suri says, have a good night, everyone. Suri says, yes, please do. Raphael asks, what is your occupation? Are you a teacher? No, I do online marketing for a living, and so I get to stay at home or get to travel around and work from my laptop quite a bit. And the live, at least in its original form, was designed to be very mobile. I have it on two mobile phones that one is my phone, one's my girlfriend's phone, and I just steal her phone every single day to run the live so that we don't have to have a big, fancy, elaborate setup so that I can try to have a social life, but still practice a lot of consistency and be very supportive. I am probably going to start experimenting with some higher quality setups so that the lighting is a little bit more consistent, so that we can have like cool pop-ups on the screen, like cool people who do live streams for a living actually do. But I don't know. That will happen at some point. And I would love to make this my full-time thing and do more stuff like this because at the end of the day, I believe that physical fitness is, how do I say this? Is proof, right? When you can do stuff, when you put in effort and you see the results of that effort, and then you carry that effort with you because you're able to do stuff. Maybe you're practicing handstands, maybe you're just practicing on getting, an old injury healed up so that you can move a little bit better. When you put in the work, when you see the fruit of that effort, it's just a reminder that, consistency can do a bunch of crazy things like help you learn new skills, help you get your degree in school, help you master a new trade or something. And that most of life, a lot of the hard things that we have to do is basically at the end of staying consistent and grinding it out. Maybe not, grinding, miserably grinding, like every day is you barely staying alive, but like grinding as in you're slowly working towards the thing over a long period of time. And I think that physical fitness, physical well-being is a big component of teaching young people, for example, to do that, to have some grit, to have some resilience, to see the effects of long-term consistency. And I would love to turn sort of that philosophy towards exercise at this point into something bigger, something more important. And this is step like number 1.5. So, uh, if you like life, make sure to hit follow, hit subscribe. If you like this philosophical stuff, philosoph. Oh no, I've said the word too many times. Now I don't know how to pronounce it. Philosophical stuff towards well-being, I guess. Physical movement, fitness, finesse. Then let me know because I'm happy to talk more and I'll think about it so it's a little bit more cohesive. Okay, I think I'm ready to wrap. That is all of the chat. Um, Block Fan says, I have an ear infection. Can you tell me what I have to do? I honestly have no idea. I have had a random ear infection once, and I probably did something I shouldn't have done to solve it. So I'm not going to tell you. I take it back. Uh, you're probably better off Googling and asking if there's something you can put in your ear that will help defeat your ear infection. Because I don't know. I got no idea. Cool. All right. That's it for me. Thank you so much once again, everyone, for coming in, practicing consistency, working on your side splits, working on your hip mobility, listening to me ramble for like 45 minutes about fitnessy things. Oh, can you tell me what I have to do? My under thighs are sore. You got lots of questions. Okay, but this one I think are something I can do. If your under thighs are sore, I assume you're talking about underneath your thighs, which would be the backside of your thighs, which would be your hamstrings. If your hamstrings are sore, realistically, you don't have to do anything. If you just chill for 2 or 3 days, they should be okay. They should be back to normal. If they are sore, like permanently sore, just perpetually sore, always sore, you might want to really refocus on resting, sleeping, and eating some nutritious food to help your body recover. Because your body should not be long-term sore if you're not constantly trying new things to get your body to be sore. Soreness tends to happen when you're doing something at a crazy level, if you've been doing it before, or if you're doing something new. Your body hasn't figured out how to do it yet. And when you're trying something new, you're going to just be sore. That's unavoidable. So, uh, if you want to aid in the recovery process, you can potentially massage and stimulate some blood flow to the area that might get some extra nutrients flowing, might clear some waste to help the healing process. But regular soreness, because you just started doing something new, will go away in about 3, 4 days, and you should be fine. You shouldn't need to do anything special unless you really need to do something crazy in the next 2 days and you need to be unsore. But most of the time, soreness, once you start moving a little bit, you'll forget that you're sore and you'll be able to continue as normal. It's just the first couple of minutes when you're trying to get back into the movement and your body's going and fighting you, and you don't want to do the movement. That is extra brutal. That's extra bad. But yeah, if you have soreness that's lasting more than 4 days, 5 days, then that's probably something you need to get checked out. But if you just did something new, something crazy, and you're like struggling because you're pushing your body to do stuff it's never done before, that is just normal soreness, and that should go away after a couple days. Oh, Block Fan says the worst part that makes it worse is when my arms are sore. I need you to a proper push-up. Um, you need to do a proper push-up, and that is keeping you from having your thighs be sore. Is that what you're saying? If you don't know how to do a proper push-up, then I guess we can real quick cover that because I can definitely talk about some basic push-up form. The push-up is basically a plank where you're pushing your body up, right? When you do a plank, you want to keep a couple of things really sturdy and strong. One of them being your core. We can talk about the core as the abs, but it's not just your abs, it's not just the front. It's the sides, it's the back. You want everything to be locked in, to be really, really, really tight and strong. And then for a bonus, you want to flex your glutes, right? The more you flex all the muscles in your body, the stronger you'll be able to be in your push-up, all right? So it's not just your arms, it's not just your chest, your core, your glutes, your quads, your calves, all of the muscles. If you can turn yourself into a really, 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 really strong plank, that's going to help make your push-up stronger. And we don't have to get deep into the muscle science about how you get stronger. Just know that when you have a lot of muscles contracting all at the same time, the next muscle that kicks in will just be stronger and be better at contracting. All right. Um, Hands. There's a lot of different ways to do a push-up. A lot of people start their push-up journey doing a push-up that looks like this, where their elbows are really, really, really high. That will be fine if you're just doing 5 to 10, you're just experimenting. That's okay. But if you're doing a lot of them, it's going to cause a lot of irritation in your elbow. It's going to cause a lot of irritation in your shoulder. So typically, it's recommended that you tuck your elbows down a little bit. All right. If you can get to about 45 degrees, great. It's a good rough place to start. But you can do other push-ups. You can tuck your elbows all the way down, and you can do push-ups like this. All right. So pretty much just avoid having your elbow straight up. Have it down a little bit, 45-ish degree angles and under, and I'll be all good. You can go a little higher than 45 too. It's not the end of the world. What else do we need to know about push-ups? If your wrists are a little bit uncomfortable when you're doing push-ups, you can warm them up doing something like wrist circles. You can stretch them out, pulling your hands, fingers up, palm in front of you. You can pull your fingers back. You can do the opposite. You can flex your hand down. You can pull it back towards you. You can do a couple of these things from side to side to help warm up your wrists to get them prepared for push-up stuff. And what else we got? That's wrists, that's arms, that's arm positioning. We talked about the full body tension. And finally, you're just coming up and down. If you're struggling with the push-up form, you got a couple of options to make it a little bit easier without equipment. One of them is doing them from your knees, right? You can absolutely do something like that. If you want, you can do the push-up with against the wall. You can go boom, and The higher up you have your arms when you do the push-up, the less of your body weight you'll be pushing. The lower to the ground you are when you're doing push-ups, the more of your body weight you'll be pushing, and you'll be able to progress most of the push-ups that you might need to do from that. Oh, Black Fan says no. What I'm saying is my arms hurt because I'm not doing a right push-up. Um, oh, okay. What else we got? What I'm saying is my arms hurt because I'm not doing a right push-up. Then should you correct your push-up? What? I don't understand. Are you just letting me know? Are you asking for some help? Or okay. I can't remember what I said. So I'm already too deep into the. Oh, Black Fans asks, how do I do the splits? Okay. Um, those are gonna take a long time. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to explain that to you because I still don't have the splits. I've been doing this for like 500 days. So I think we can talk about it. I'm down to talk about it. You need a lot of different types of hip mobility, right? Hip mobility, when you do a really intense sport, can have all sorts of different uses. But for most of us as adults, we don't use very much hip mobility for anything. And the majority of the positions that we hang out in look a little bit like this, right? So we tend to get real tight in the front of the hip because these muscles are always in this contracted position in a seated position. We tend to not use any muscles that do this type of motion. So these muscles in the hip and the glutes tend to get real weak, and we're not able to lift our legs and bring them to the outside of our body. A version of that movement might be something that looks like fire hydrants, right? Like a dog peeing onto a fire hydrant. That typically will be kind of hard for most people. It will also typically be pretty hard for people to bring the legs in to like pinch stuff. And so when we're working on hip mobility, splits are just advanced hip mobility, right? It's the same muscles in our hips. When they get really loose, when they get really flexible, you can start unlocking things that look more like splits. All right. What we're doing, for the most part, if you want to unlock splits, is working on lengthening the muscle and also strengthening the muscle. Lengthening typically is what you experience when we're talking about stretching, right? Hamstring stretch looks a little bit like this. We're folding forward. We're trying to touch our toesies and we're going wee, and that typically is lengthening, stretching the muscle. When we want to strengthen the hamstrings, there's a bunch of different ways to do that. And the same will apply to every muscle group that you might want to stretch. In the side splits, a lot of the stretch has to happen here in the inner thighs. And one of the ways you stretch and train them is to just hang out in a deep side split position for a really long time. When you're here in this type of position, gravity is pulling your whole body down, and the muscles here are contracting to basically stop you from going down. And it sucks because it's keeping you from getting into your side split, but it's also really good because it's strengthening those inner thigh muscles to help you get stronger and have a lot more control, right? So when you see an athlete that's able to kick their leg really high, or jump and do a split in the air like a ballerina might, or a taekwondo person displaying like crazy flips, or a gymnast doing powerful looking hold of some sort in the air with rings, or on some crazy movement on the floor. Those forms of flexibility are 100% built with strength. They have strength to control the position that they're in, and they're able to move themselves into those crazy positions because they're strong as heck. Right? Most of us are not going to be anywhere near that without a lot of training. And that is why gymnasts look impressive because they've done a ton of training and they've committed to a lot of it. So, um, for most of us, the splits are going to come as a little bit more flexibility and not so much strength. But you definitely need strength to make progress because your body is not going to want you to go down. My splits are not that good, but I haven't really tried any of these in a while. So let's see how that goes. Nope, that's about as deep as I can get in that one. Whew. Then, that's basically all the information I got. It's advanced hip mobility and doing strengthening work to get your hips to be able to get into crazy positions on purpose. Training your brain to recognize there's a position I want to get into, not a position that I'm scared of. And takes time, takes reps, takes a lot of tension in the muscle at the extended position. Cool? All right. Ugh. Whew. All Black Fan says it's hard to eat protein foods. It is definitely not easy. And there's a lot of different reasons why it might not be so easy. One of them, you might just hate protein rich foods. That would be a brutal one to beat. Sometimes protein is very expensive. Sometimes protein is hard to access. Those are all totally reasonable reasons why protein foods could be hard to eat. It's true. If you can't get enough protein, muscle hypertrophy might be a little bit more difficult. But if you go down any rabbit hole and you start Googling, you say, I eat too much protein, there'll be a ton of people saying we eat too much protein. If you say, well, I eat too little protein, there'll be even more bodybuilders saying you eat too little protein and tell you to eat way more protein. So protein is going to be all over the place, all right? And anything you see online, if you want to test it for some reason, feel free to try a certain amount of protein for your body weight, whatever it is. You're going to see much better results if you keep track. I hate tracking things. So it is a huge pain in the butt for me to track things. But if you're going to try and do some optimizing and try to find how much protein you're going to eat, if you're going to try to figure out which forms of protein you're going to try and have as much or as little of as possible to make you happy to hit your protein goals with or without having stomach problems and or just hating your food, then take notes. Make sure that you track a little bit. You don't have to track for the rest of your life. Just track a little bit when you're running the experiment, right? If you know that you've been all over the place with your protein intake, with your diet, and you know you've been all over the place with your exercise, you're jumping back and forth between 10 different workout plans on YouTube that you're seeing. Every time this influencer puts out a plan, you're like, I'm trying that. Another influencer puts out a plan, I'm trying that. Next influencer puts out a plan, puts out a diet, you're trying that. If you're jumping back and forth between a whole bunch of things, it's going to be really hard for you to know that you're making progress because you have to put in some amount of consistency for results to be seen, right? It's not like when you turn on the electricity and you're flicking the switch on and off. Instantly, there's light or there is no light. A lot of the things that you do to your body, that you do for your body, takes time. And it takes time for the effects to show. So you might need to track 2 weeks to see how making a change actually impacts your body. But if you've never tracked before and you're starting to track while you make that first change, that actually ends up becoming your baseline, right? Because you don't know what you were before. You can only guess what you were before. So before you make a change, maybe, with whatever you think your diet is right now, whether or not you think it's unhealthy having McDonald's, whatever, start tracking how that kind of impacts your life. If you wake up with energy or not, if you are gaining weight or not, if you're feeling sluggish, if you have a midday crash, if you're just feeling not so great throughout the day, you got to track all of that. And then when you change something, you got to keep tracking all of that to see if it makes a difference, right? If you're not exercising consistently enough, maybe you don't have to worry about the protein, right? Like working out consistently is part of the stimulation necessary for you to need the protein in your body to begin with, right? So if you're not sleeping enough, you don't have enough time to rest and recover anyway, then having the protein, having the exercise might not do, like you need a combination of a whole bunch of different things. And the more I talk about it, the more overwhelming it might sound, right? And then I told you to track everything so you know all the details. It just becomes more and more and more and more and more overwhelming. That's why I don't like tracking things. But Each of those aspects have value. And if you hate eating a ton of protein, maybe you can optimize for the other two things, sleeping and exercise effectively. Maybe you can get 75% of the way to what you need and you'll be fine. We got somebody who asked a question. I'm 64 kg. How much protein can I eat? You can eat a ton of protein. At some point, your organs have to process the protein, and if you're eating a ton, like hundreds of kilograms, or sorry, hundreds of grams of protein, that might be a little bit too much because your body has to process it. But for the most part, if you're not eating like 5 pounds of chicken a day, you'll be fine. uh, it's not actually 5 pounds of chicken. It's probably like 2 kilos worth of chicken. If you're not eating 2 kilos worth of chicken per day, you're probably going to be fine. You can eat more if you can handle it. Most people, it's just not a lot of food. It'll be really hard to eat the amount of protein that will make you feel like you've maxed out on protein. Um, so, but more importantly, protein is expensive unless you're just eating like beans. Protein is expensive. You don't need to eat that much protein, right? Like if you're exercising a crap ton, you're doing a lot, and your goal is to build as much muscle as possible, to get as big and huge as possible because you're a bodybuilder. Fine, get as much protein as you can take in. But if you're just a normal person doing a little bit more exercise and you want to have a protein shake, have a protein shake. You don't need to necessarily optimize your diet for maximum like muscle growth if you don't want to. Um, it just depends on if you have a goal that you're working towards, right? If you want to build muscle, then definitely consider having more protein. But if you don't want to build more muscle, it's totally fine for you not to eat a buttload of protein. You can still get a lot stronger without it. Cool? Okay. Let's talk about my protein. I literally don't think about it at all. I generally eat relatively healthy, but I was just visiting friends and it was July 4th. I was not eating healthy at all for the whole past week. And I try not to feel guilty about it because I know for the most part, when I'm at home, I eat relatively cleanly, veggies, fruits, oatmeal, rice, very relatively less processed foods. Um, I eat a lot of Costco chicken because it's cheap and it's hot and it's cooked, and then I don't have to cook food because I'm lazy, right? Um, I can absolutely eat very similar foods over and over and over again, and I know that about myself. I enjoy nice foods when I go out to eat and stuff, but I can eat the same food over and over again, so that works fine for me. If you want to have a lot of oatmeal, if you want to have a lot of soybeans, that is going to be a really inexpensive, good way for you to get a whole bunch of protein in your diet for relatively cheap. Soybeans are probably the most nutritious bean that you can have. And it's by a long shot. Like it's way more nutrient dense in terms of protein and a whole bunch of different forms of the amino acids that, together make the general category of protein than most other beans. Like black beans, they're like way down on the list compared to soybeans, all right? But you can fact check me. Go check. Soybeans versus black beans, protein and amino acid profile. How deep do I want to go down this rabbit hole? Protein is just one big word, right? If you're eating chicken, sure, like it's nutritionally complete protein. You got all the amino acids, everything's good. But if you're eating vegetable-based protein, right, like beans, grains, rice, that type of stuff, they have different profiles of the ratios of amino acids that they have. And there are some amino acids which science suggests helps you build more muscle rather than less. If you want to check on that and then figure out which beans, which grains, which vegetables have the most protein of the type that you care about, which I think is leucine, Leucine. You should go double check that. I I am not currently actively working on building muscle, so I haven't been really thoughtful or too obsessive about my protein intake. And that has worked out just fine for me because most of my goals right now is just to do cool stuff. The heavier I get, the harder it is going to be to do calisthenics stuff. And the harder it's going to be to learn stuff. So I don't really feel the need for me to get any larger because my interests are in doing cool things, flipping around, climbing stuff, and that type of activities. So it really depends on your personal interest, and how much protein you need to eat is dependent on your goals. If you're really, really serious about bodybuilding, have a lot more protein. If you're not that serious about bodybuilding, then you don't need to have that much protein to still get significantly stronger. Cool? All right. Raina says, I took isolate milk protein shake, but didn't do much exercise. Yeah, if you're not doing much exercise, having the protein shake may or may not actually do anything, right? Because at the end of the day, you need enough stimulation in the muscles for the protein to be absorbed and then used to build your muscles, right? Um, you need enough wear and tear for there to be a need to do a whole bunch of repairing. There's like a baseline amount of protein that you need to keep, everything functioning in your world, right? In your in your body. But when you start going much, much, much higher beyond it, it's probably just turning into poop. So this will apply to everything that you take too much of, right? Like if you have supplements that give you 1000% vitamin B or something, most of it just turns into pee. Or like just leaves your body through pee. But hopefully your body absorbed enough of it to do what it needs to do. You're just hoping that the body takes it and does something with it. Protein is one of those things where we have a pretty good idea because there's a lot of muscle studying stuff that you need quite a bit of exercise to justify eating a whole bunch of protein because your body needs a certain amount, but it doesn't need that much more if you're not using your body to do cool stuff and forcing it to need the protein to recover and get stronger and to get better. Cool. All right. What else? What else? What else? I think that's it. We're done. There are 20 people left. We went down from like 100 people to 20 people. But this rambling session of mine has gone for like a whole hour. This is the talking has gone for longer than the actual side split stretch and the hip mobility stuff did. All right. That means I've been here for like 2 hours already. It's time to go. I'm gonna wrap it up. Let's call it here today, everybody. Thank you so much for coming in, asking really good questions, and then asking a lot of confusing questions. And I hope you got some valuable information out of it, because it's time to wrap. We are live every single day at 9 p.m. Eastern, which means we started 2 hours and 9 minutes ago. We do this every day to practice consistency, side splits, and hip mobility. And you definitely don't have to show up 7 days a week. I do this as, my way to do this show, but you don't need 7 days a week of side split stretching. 4 is plenty, 3 is fine. Come back as often as you want. But most of the other content that I make is just about making movement, making a little exercise, making your joints perform a little bit better in little 2 minute chunks throughout the day. Finding a cool reason to love movement, to find a new hobby, to do cool things so that you love your body doing cool stuff because it makes life easier when you can do stuff, right? If that sounds like stuff you want to watch, make sure to hit follow, hit subscribe, and keep coming back because that's what I do. All right, that's it. I'm out of words. My energy is slowly dropping as I get more and more tired. I'm ready to wrap. I'll see you guys tomorrow for more side splits. And tomorrow's like Wednesday, right? Yeah, that's it. I'll see you tomorrow for more side splits. Cool. Bye. Hit follow, hit subscribe. I'll see you soon. Closing out.